My name is Jonathan Goforth. On today's video, we're going to talk about naughty sellers, bad things that some sellers will do at the end of the transaction when it's time to move out. And that's going to be our topic for today. I've been a full-time realtor for 25 years. I'm listed with Keller Williams Platinum Partners. I have my real estate license in Missouri and Kansas and a broker's license in Missouri. That keeps both of those real estate commissions happy when I disclose that. And that's what a lot of today's video is about, is disclosure. So we're going to talk about naughty sellers. Please subscribe to my real estate videos. Please give this video a like, and let's jump right into this. I'm making this video because it's definitely a problem for a lot of homeowners. You're also called the seller. It's your house going on the market. You are listing your house. Your agent is called your listing agent, your seller's agent. It's your agent working with you as the seller. And you're about to list your house. And so as you begin to go through your paperwork, you're going to fill out a seller's disclosure. And somewhere in that, now it's different for pretty much all over the country. It's a little bit different format. Here in Missouri and Kansas City, ours is much more detailed than the generic Missouri disclosure, but it's still even missing things that creates confusion, and it creates bad communication of things that just don't get discussed. And so at the end, we have naughty sellers because they take things they're not supposed to, or they leave things there they're not supposed to leave. So let's talk about this list so that you can have clarity, so that you as a seller, the homeowner about to sell your house, you don't wind up in small claims court when the buyer sues you for being a naughty seller. So let's talk about the first two are some of the worst. Curtains and curtain rods. Now, on our seller's disclosure here in Kansas City, it does not mention curtains or curtain rods. It should, but it doesn't. And so going into a listing, maybe the curtains stay, maybe they don't, hasn't been discussed with the homeowner yet. But the contract here, anyway, our contract has pre-printed language in the contract that says window coverings and complements stay with the home. It's pre-printed as a fixture that stays with the home. And when everybody signs that, that means all those curtains, all those curtain rods stay with the home. But many times the seller, you as the seller, don't read the full contract. Let's say it's 18 pages long. Are you going to read the whole thing word by word, page by page before you click? Maybe, maybe not. And so you need your realtor to explain these. So if you're a listing agent, you're the realtor, you need to be very aware of this list to save you grief and headaches and possibly some money at closing and the first 2 or 3 days after closing. The curtains and the curtain rods in the house are supposed to stay there. Can you take them as a seller? Yes, you can, but you've got to disclose it. Put it on your seller's disclosure. Master bedroom curtains do not stay, and then you can take them. If you're going to take the curtains, are you going to take the rods? That's a big question, because Bed Bath & Beyond, like everywhere else, has raised their prices in the last year. You should go look at what these fancy curtain rods are costing that you're about to take. Now, let's say you take something that you're not supposed to. You're a naughty seller, and you take some things at closing that you're not supposed to. The buyer comes in, and they're like, "Where's the curtains? Where's the master bedroom curtains? They were the best curtains in the house. And they took the rods. The seller took the rods." And so now you get a call, as the listing agent, you get a call from the buyer's agent. And the buyer's agent said, "You're not going to believe this. Your seller took the curtains and they took the curtain rods." So now you, as the listing agent, have to make a call to your seller who is now moved out. And you have to say, "Guys, did you take the curtains? Where's the curtain rods? Did you guys start stripping the house? It's a horrible call when you just had a really happy closing, life has been wonderful, and now it starts to get a little ugly. And now there's negativity, frustration, and a really tough situation. Does the seller need to bring back the curtains and the rods? Yes, they really do. They go with the house. Or they're going to have to compensate the buyer for what they just took out of the house. This is why if you're the listing agent, when I go through a house, because I've been burned on this a few times, when I go through the house, I mention as I'm walking through, are you guys taking any of these curtains? And they'll be like, no, all the curtains can stay. They don't fit our next house. We don't want them. And that's great. And I say, because if you are, see, I'm going to hit it up again. If you are taking any of those curtains, I need to know. We need to disclose anything you're going to take that's attached. And can they take it? Yes. If it's disclosed, yes. They can take it. Just disclose it up front on that seller's disclosure, not staying master bedroom curtains. They might match their comforter. Or maybe they're taking some little kids' curtains. They've got Star Wars curtains and it's a theme and it goes with their pillows and their bedspread, their comforter. And yes, they're going to take the curtains and they're probably going to take the curtain rod because it's fancy. They bought it at some fancy home store and they're not about to leave the curtain rod. It was $40. And so is it okay to take it? Yes. Just disclose you're going to take it. But now let's talk about some other things that have become a big problem over the last year or two. Your Ring doorbell, it's attached. And so on your seller's disclosure, on ours anyway, it asks a question. Do you have a doorbell? Is it operating and staying? Is it not staying? Make sure you put not staying if you're taking your Ring doorbell with you. But if you are going to take it, then you need to say, I'm going to replace it with a cheap one. You can't just take it and leave two bare wires hanging out the front by the front door. Cheap doorbells are very inexpensive. Go to Lowe's, Home Depot, get it and swap it out. Now, some people don't want to do this in advance because normally I would say if there's certain curtains you know you're going to take, go in and take them down. Go ahead and pack them. But a lot of times people want that Ring doorbell all the way through. They want to watch who's coming and going. They want to hear conversations, which is a whole nother video on what you say as a buyer's agent when you're standing there unlocking the door about, oh, I love this house. This is the best house ever. We need this house. And your buyer is saying this in front of that Ring doorbell, and you think the seller's listening? Absolutely. They're loving this. They're watching you. They're listening. And the buyer says, we want it no matter what it takes. We'll spend $10,000 over asking price. Do they have any other offers? We'll go $20,000 over, $25,000 over. We've got to have this house. And they're saying that in front of the Ring doorbell. I personally do have a camera system on my house. I have Arlo cameras on my house. If I were to move, yes, I'm taking my cameras with me. My camera system was very expensive. I love it. And so if I was going to sell my house, or you are going on a listing appointment and you see they have cameras, are they taking the cameras with them? If they are, put it on the disclosure. Bathroom mirrors. I tell you, bathroom mirrors. Most bathroom mirrors are glued on. They're plate glass. They're glued on to the wall. But sometimes, in my house, for example, my half bath has a decorative mirror. We bought it at Lowe's. It hangs there like a picture frame on the wall over the sink. It's a pretty bathroom mirror. Sometimes the seller will take it. They will take the bathroom mirror. Now, pre-printed in the contract, it will say, on ours anyway, mirrors stay with the house. Does that mean the picture mirror, would it stay or would it leave? It's just hanging there like a picture. The contract says, at least on ours, mirrors stay. Can they take it if they want to? Yes, if they disclose it. So that's another thing. When I walk through a listing and I'm looking around and I see bathroom mirrors that are probably just hanging there on a wire, I ask, Are you leaving that mirror here? I need to know because I don't want to have to buy the buyer a new mirror if my sellers are naughty sellers that close it and they take it. So that's another big one. I've been burned on that one before. Speakers, stereo speakers, TV speakers. If you see built-in speakers that are screwed into the ceiling, make sure you ask your seller, are you leaving the speakers here? They're probably not leaving them. They're probably taking them. They can take them if it's disclosed. If it's not disclosed and they forget to mention, oh yeah, we're taking our speakers. Well, not anymore, you're not. Now you're leaving them. Refrigerators is another big one. I've been burned on refrigerators both ways on this. Sometimes I put an S here, refrigerators, because some people have more than one. Let's say the kitchen refrigerator is really nice. You as the seller, you plan on taking that one with you. You put that on the disclosure. I'm taking my kitchen refrigerator. But you forget, you have a second refrigerator in the garage. And it's not super nice and you don't want it. You want it to stay there. You're going to leave the second refrigerator in the garage. You've got to disclose that because the new buyer coming in, they may not want your nasty second refrigerator. And now I have an issue as the agent, the buyers moving in, are like, there's a refrigerator still in the garage. Get it out. We don't want it. Well, the seller's moved. And so now it falls on me to deal with how to get rid of the second refrigerator. So if you are leaving a second refrigerator, disclose it, that it stays. Put it on the disclosure. Same with the freezer. Let's say you have a deep freeze and it's in the basement, it's in the garage. You don't want it, you're going to leave it there. Disclose it. It stays there. But don't just be leaving stuff. Don't be a naughty seller. Don't just leave stuff because you don't want it. Disclose it's going to stay because if you don't want it, chances are the buyer probably doesn't want it either. Shelves is another big one. Shelves can become a fight. There's two places shelves can come up. So if you were the homeowner, think about this in your garage. If these are freestanding shelves, they are not attached, then you can take them. They are yours. They are personal property. However, many times, Gorilla, for example, are expensive and they're mounted and there's hooks and hangers and all kinds of fancy gadgets. I have some fancy hooks. They are screwed in and we have bicycles hanging. We have all kinds of heavy things. That's what those are designed for. Many times, the homeowner plans on taking their fancy, expensive shelves that are bolted in so they don't tip forward. The seller is going to take them, but you as the listing agent, you haven't even thought about it. The buyer walks through the house, they go under contract, they make the assumption those shelves are going to stay because they can see the big bolts up at the top. If they're bolted in, if they're attached, they become a fixture. So if you're going to take the fancy heavy-duty shelves in the garage or in the basement, disclose it. Shelves are not staying and put where they are, in the garage. Maybe it's a huge workbench. This is a good one. It's a big wooden workbench, and you're going to leave it there. The buyer might not want it, but you don't want it either, and you don't want to have to mess with getting rid of it as the seller. Then I would say the workbench and those shelves stays with the house. Put it on there. Because if you just leave this giant, massive, heavy, very heavy workbench that the buyer doesn't want either, it needs to go. So be very clear. Same in the bathroom. Let's talk about this. I got burned on this one about a year ago. Over the toilet was a little white little storage case, little storage cabinet. I assumed it would stay. Clearly it's screwed in. It's not just hanging there, it's screwed in, it's bolted in so it doesn't fall off, hit somebody on the back of the head. So sellers took it. They unbolted it and took it. They hadn't even painted behind it. So now it's even more obvious. There's a big old rectangle where there's old colored paint. I heard about that from the buyer's agent. Buyer's agent said, hey, they took the cabinet in the bathroom. They took it. And so I have to call my sellers. You guys took the cabinet that was hanging up, bolted in the bathroom? Oh yeah, that was ours. Well, can you bring it back? It stays with the house. And we talked about the freezer. Now I'm going to tell you about light fixtures. I got burned on this once. Here's my point of view on light fixture. You as the listing agent have a conversation with your seller. If you see a special light fixture and I say, is there anything else in this house you're taking with you? We are going to cover the seller's disclosure because I am not going to buy the buyer a light fixture. And so what happened on this one? It was a beautiful, I wouldn't say beautiful, it was old. A stained glass lamp over the breakfast table. I would not have wanted it. I'm surprised the buyer wanted it. But it became the point of it being gone when the buyer showed up to move in. The sellers took it and we didn't discuss it. That's a light fixture. It stays. Light fixtures stay. And the sellers took it. They unscrewed it, undid the wires, took it. They were nice enough to put a really cheap one from Lowe's or Home Depot, really cheap one up on the ceiling over the table, but apparently this was an 80-year-old lamp that had been passed down through my seller's family from house to house to house. They should have told me because I would have had them take it out in advance because now the buyer wants it. And of course, it's in every picture. On that one, the sellers compensated a few $100s to the buyer for them to go buy a new light fixture to hang down, hire an electrician just to make that issue go away because the buyers wanted that light fixture back. Sellers said, no way are they bringing back the sentimental 80-year-old lamp. And that is where we get a lot of issues. So the moral to the story, disclose whether you're taking it or whether you are leaving it there that you don't think somebody else might want. You want to pass your headache on to the buyer. Make sure you disclose you're leaving it because the buyer might want it. But the buyer's going to be okay with it because they've seen it on the disclosure. They understand the 75-year-old refrigerator that probably still works great, that looks like a tank and it weighs 1,000 pounds, it's going to stay. And the buyer's okay with it because they saw that on the disclosure. This is how you fix a lot of headaches. And you as a listing agent, sometimes you end up having to chip in for curtains and curtain rods because you can't get your seller to do it. Or the seller says, I'll give him 50 bucks. 50 bucks won't even buy a rod now. That is how you do this. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helps you so much in buying and selling property. I hope this eliminates headaches. I hope this gives you a wonderful selling experience as a listing agent and as a seller. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please give this video a like.